The first thing that attracted me to MedImmune is how daring this company was. You know, just the fact that they went into a space where nobody was there before, the RSV. There was no market, there was nothing. And I thought, this is the place where I want to be. You know, they take risks. Obviously, they took risks at that time. And that's really what attracted me. Once I got to MedImmune for interview, the second part that's really as important for Medi is not only the energy and the energy of the people, but it was how straightforward they were. You know, saying, we failed here, we don't do this very well. And I wanted to be part of a company that doesn't take itself very seriously.
I joined MedImmune for the reason because we have a very, very attractive product pipeline. The pipeline is among the best in the industry.
Well, they attracted me the technology and actually the people. I believe that the people was the must. You know, I came here for a 2-day visit, and actually I have some other offers in my hand. And when I came here, I was so impressed about the science and the people and the drive. And, you know, everyone wants to do things and everyone wants to make drugs. And this is what I love about, you know, this place.
So what attracted me to join MedImmune was really the atmosphere, the feeling of innovation and the feeling of get things done quickly. There was also, when I came a couple of times for the visits, a real feeling of everyone's in it together, everyone's here to help each other. A really collaborative spirit, actually, much more so than the big pharma company that I'd worked for previously. It also felt like a biotech, which is very appealing to me. It felt like it was, you know, perhaps slightly chaotic, but actually a very, very enthusiastic, lively, energetic, and innovative atmosphere. So that was very much appealing to me.
Okay, so when I actually joined Cambridge Antibody Technology, which I joined back in 1993, so many, many years ago. What attracted me then was the fact that it was a really cool group of people doing some really cool science. And I went to the interview. I thought I did really badly at the interview, actually. I made some inappropriate jokes. I thought, they're never going to give me this job. And I went home and thought, if they don't, I'll be really gutted. Amazingly, they did give me the job. And it lived up to my reputation, to my expectation, that the science was fantastic. It was such a pure idea that was the idea of antibody phage display, so applicable to so many different disease settings and scientific problems. And I just loved the fundamental nature of that science, and I actually loved the people there. They had a real sense of fun, but a real sense of commitment and drive, and I think that's still here today, actually.
You know, I think I obviously heard a lot about MedImmune, you know, and the work that was done. I knew some of the folks here at MedImmune, and I think that obviously is very positive. And then when I started to look at the products that the company was developing, I said, you know, this could be an exciting opportunity. And so that seemed to have been borne out in the last year or so since I've been with the company.
So it was a great opportunity to join a growing company and to have a very interesting and diverse role. It gave me a chance to grow my previous role, Wyeth. And when I came and interviewed here, I didn't know much about Medi. I knew very little about Medi, to be honest with you. And as soon as I came here and started to meet with people, I was kind of sold on Medi. So the role and the people were kind of what got me excited about coming here. And it's transpired to be good on both fronts.
What attracted me was the opportunity to work at preventing other than treating infectious disease. In a lot of circumstances, antibiotic resistance is like the weather. Everybody talks about it, but nobody does anything about it. And I thought that coming here, I would have a chance to do something about it.
So for me, it was actually the chance to look after an entire R&D finance function. So I've been in the industry for about 20 years, but never had the chance actually to work, number one, in biologics, and number two, look after an entire R&D finance function from discovery through registration. And that's what this role has given me the opportunity, and that's actually why I joined.
Yes, I have I can still claim I'm a scientist, although I'm back, I'm away from the bench for a number of years now, but I'm a scientist by training. I'm still very much interested in doing the science and talk with the scientist.
So yes and no. So I am classically trained in finance with an advanced business degree focusing in finance, but I've been in the industry now about a little over 20 years. I'd say actually the first half of that experience was not finance proper. It was in sales, marketing, all in pharmaceuticals, biotech, sales, marketing, R&D operations, facilities, clinical trial administration, global strategic marketing, and finance kind of was involved with all of that, but I was never actually a proper finance person for that first 10 years. The next 10 years with Pfizer, with a contract research organization by the name of ParXL, and most recently with MedImmune, all proper finance. And so I've got kind of that mix, but this has been a chance to really develop the financial management component of my skill set.
Yeah, so I'm an electrophysiologist by training. So I read biology in my bachelor's. I did a neuroscience PhD. I did electrophysiology in my PhD actually at Addenbrooke's Hospital in Cambridge. I haven't been in the lab since then. I'm probably much more help in an office than I am in a lab. But yeah, I do have a background there, and I'm glad I have actually done that. It helps me what I do.
I did, yes. I have a PhD, although I haven't probably done as much scientific work recently. I was trained as a biochemist, and therefore I can speak the language of science, so to speak, when I need to. Probably not as much as I should, but I do my best.
So my background is, I'm a bench scientist originally, did my PhD in neuroscience, and then trained as an electrophysiologist, which is quite exciting. So I spent many years at the bench doing various experiments with various bits of kit. And so I understand the sort of experimental process and what needs to be done to achieve results fairly well.
I am a scientist. Actually, I'm truly a scientist. I have a lot of academic experience. Actually, for me, coming to MedImmune was coming to my roots because I began mainly my career here at NIH. From NIH, I went to Sweden, where I was an associate professor there. So I have like a lot of academic background. And after that, I moved to industry. But in industry, I mainly moved through both ladders, the managerial ladder, but also the scientific ladder. So at the end, I am recognized also as a scientist.
Absolutely, yes. I am. My love has always been oncology and signal transduction. So I have a PhD that I did a long time ago.
I think communication, listening to people, being able to communicate, share ideas. I think soliciting, thoughts, taking a broad view of a decision made or a problem or an opportunity, and being able to motivate people to do something maybe that they wouldn't normally be focused on or thinking about or working together. And I think that's probably the way I define it.
I think inspiration, being able to enthuse people, being able to tell people a story about what we're doing, being able to get people to buy in, so you get a feeling of being in a team, of everyone leading and working together. That's probably one of the most important things for me. I think the lots of difference between leadership and management, and leadership is all around messages. It's all around making sure that we're keeping the level of enthusiasm, we're keeping the inspiration, and using everyone's brains, using everyone's sense of innovation actually, to keep the portfolio moving forward and keep the organisation moving forward. For me, it's much less about telling people what to do. It's much more about trying to be a role model, trying to get the messages out there, but actually more importantly than anything else, bringing people along with you, enthusing them, and getting the right messages to the right people at the right time.
Yeah, to be a good leader is to, I think there are several characteristics. Being able to motivate the people, I think that's one of the key. Apparently, not all the leaders can know everything. You got to rely on the people and motivate the people. I think is one of the major characteristic for a leader. Another one is set a good example.
Well, number one, actually have a vision for where you want to go, the concept as to how you want to get there, the ability to articulate that vision and the strategy and the tactics for achieving those goals, and the passion to do the work.
Well, I believe that a good leader is to see the light at the end and to guide the rest of the people on that light and make it happen, I will say, and give like a very, very definite goals to the scientists and to the team.
Key characteristics are, first off, good knowledge base, credibility in your subject area, but in addition to that, I think really having empathy and respect for the people in the organisation and trying to understand their point of view, why they think the way they do, why they're doing what they're doing. I actually quite like this learner-player model that's being encouraged, originated in AZ, but actually sort of being a good listener. Don't assume that you know everything. Make sure that you really listen and understand what people are telling you. Be open-minded about that. I think that's a really important characteristic, and you can't have enough of that. So I think that, coupled with just really respect people's time, people's outlook, and try and learn from them, and then you'll end up continuing to develop as a leader.
A key characteristic for a good leader for me is a leader who invests in his or her people. That's absolutely key. A leader who has a vision and can have people follow him or her, because without a vision we can't do anything. A courageous leader, a leader who is not afraid to challenge their people, who's not just here to be liked. This is not what it's about. Is basically, if I can sum it up in one word, is the leader who can mine the gold in people and put their people or take them out of the comfort zone, because that's the only way every one of us can grow. And I absolutely believe that we all can reach the sky if we have people, helping us there.
So originally when I was at school, my dad was in electronics, and I've always been a bit of a techno kind of person, so I thought I'd probably go into electronics. But as I approached the end of my school before I went to university, I got more and more interested in biology. So I thought about going into medicine, but then speaking to some of the friends and colleagues that I had whose parents were medics, I realised actually that probably wasn't going to be the thing for me, and I ended up actually doing what I wanted to do, which is being in biology, being in pharmacology. But it was a split decision at one point. It was nearly electronics, so you never know, I could have been the inventor of the iPad.
I think high school it was go to college would be nice. I think after college I wanted to get a job. That would be nice. I think that's about it.
When I left my school, I didn't have that much choices because of the system at that time in China. I really want to get into, I'm trying to think about when, you mean after my high school, right? College. Yeah. It's, in fact, after my PhD, I know exactly what I want to do. So that's why at that time, biotechnology was a new industry almost. That's 20 years ago. That's why I did my postdoc with Immunex, the industry postdoc. Then I knew right away I want to work for the industry because I like the fast pace of the research.
So the answer is actually farm, agriculture. So I actually grew up here in the States, not to a farming family, but actually I spent a lot of my childhood, and actually even through years in university, working on a farm in the state of New York, here in the U.S. And I've always loved, and actually I was sharing some of this with Kripa Ram. I've always loved to do things with my hands, and you know, through this farming experience, of course, I was always outside, you know, working with a lot of equipment. So Kripa and I have talked about, you know, if when I need to do something other than finance, maybe I'll work with him in the pilot plant. But I've always loved to do things with my hands. Love to be outside. Love to actually, you know, make, fix, improve things. And so, you know, very much, and actually my undergraduate, my university education was very heavy in biology and science, in the life sciences. Actually, one of my undergraduate degrees is in agronomy, which is soil science, crop production. So I very seriously thought about going into what's called agricultural extension, the science of food production. But I also equally wanted to continue and expand kind of my business expertise, and try to combine the two. So I very much thought about, again, taking the agricultural route, chose against that. Also thought about, and even to this day, I continue to think about, I probably would have made a good medic. I actually do have a fairly strong scientific aptitude, and the other thing I had thought about, again, never acted on, was moving on to medical school and maybe becoming a surgeon or some other medical discipline. But here I am in finance, and no complaints otherwise.
Medicine first. That's what I wanted to do, but I was a little bit still trying to find my way, and I tried everything, not tried to go to several universities and change my mind at the last minute and said maybe I'll just try biology first, and then if I like it I still can go to medicine, just not to engage into medicine right away. And then I fell in love with biology, stayed there.
I wanted to be a scientist. And for a while there I got to be a scientist. And now I get to be an executive.
So people may know that I used to do stand-up, right? So people also know that the comedians never tell jokes on spec, right? So I don't really have a favorite joke. I mean, so I'm not going to tell you.
Oh, I don't know. I don't really have a favourite joke. I could go for what's brown and sticky? A stick.
Oh, God. I don't know. I'm not a, I mean, I know a lot of jokes, but I'm not a very good joke teller. Let's see. Where's Steve Projan when I need him?
My favorite joke, I would probably get fired for telling my favorite joke. It would be so incredibly inappropriate. But beyond that, let's see. My favorite joke otherwise, you know, the answer is no, actually. Because, you know, I like to think I have a good sense of humor, but I don't tell a whole lot of jokes, which means I don't have a repertoire top of head in terms of jokes.
You know, people kept on telling me I'm not funny. My kids kept on telling me I'm not funny. That now I'm starting to believe them because I'm starting to see that I'm boring with jokes.
Okay, so Rabbit goes into a bar. Really dapper looking rabbit, really nice fur, sparkly eyes, goes up to the bar, has a little, fancies a little bit of a drink, sort of orders a pint of bitter and a cheese toasty please from the barman. So the barman gives him the drink and the toasty, nice to see, he sort of goes off, Rabbit goes off having had his food and drink and goes off burrowing for the day. Comes back the next day, same rabbit, same barman. Oh, nice to see you again. So yeah, I'll have a pint of beer and a cheese toasty, please. So the barman gives him the beer, cheese toasty. Rabbit's looking very happy. So, you know, pays his £3 or whatever it is, cheap pub. Goes off back to his burrowing. Next day, Rabbit comes in and says, I fancy a bit of a change today, actually. You know, I think I'll stick with a pint of beer, but I'd really like a ham toasty today. So can you do me a ham toasty? I was like, sure, yeah, no problem, mate. Cost you an extra 50p, but you know, meat and all that. gets him his beer and his ham toasty, and the rabbit sort of potters off, having had a nice meal. Rabbit comes in the next day, looks absolutely awful, you know, his fur's falling out, he's all dishevelled, his eyes are bloodshot, his little flat cap's gone a bit crooked, and he sort of struggles up to the bar, and the barman says, "Goodness, what happened to you?" And the rabbit says, "Mixing me toasties."
Yeah, actually, it's one of my favorite comedians was a former lingerie salesman named Myron Cohn, who became a stand-up comic at the age of 60. And he always would tell jokes with double punchlines. And so I'll give you two examples of classic Myron Cohn jokes. The first was a fellow was working in the produce section of a supermarket, and a Texan walks up to him and says, "Son, I would like to buy half a head of lettuce." And the produce guy says, "Wait right here, sir." And he marches to the front of the store, you know, snickering under his breath, not realizing the Texan is following directly behind him. When he gets to the front of the store, he says to the manager, "You're not going to believe this, but some idiot of a Texan asked for half a head of lettuce." Just as he was saying it, he realized the Texan was following right behind him. And then he turned around and said, "And this fine gentleman would like to buy the other half." The manager then says, "Son, that was really fast thinking. You know, we probably got a place for you as an assistant manager at our new store in Detroit." And the produce guy says, "Detroit? The only thing they have in Detroit are prostitutes and hockey players." And the manager says, "You know, I resent that, son. My wife's from Detroit." So the produce guy says, "Oh, and what hockey team does she play for?"
The coolest? Oh, I think that there are a lot of things that are extremely coolest. You know, I believe that all the technology, all the things that we can do, mixing, biospecifics, I will say, biosuperiors, mixing peptides with antibodies, new proteins. I believe that, a lot of things, actually what Ian is doing in CNS, trying to cross the brain barrier, I believe that there are a lot of exciting things going on, and I am very excited about this.
Oh, we're coming up on a little challenge process where the iMeds are, going to see how we fare against each other. I think that could be kind of fun. Hasn't happened yet, but it appears to be a cool thing to do. Yeah.
We've done a lot of cool things in R&D. I think the coolest is that we've been true to ourselves, that we really are a biotech company. We've maintained our entrepreneurial spirit. We do scrappy science in the good sense of the word, not the pejorative.
The thing that I keep seeing again and again as I sit in governance reviews, as I sit in project reviews, one of the things that really just blows me away, to just use that phrase every time I see, is the YTE technology. So the half-life extending technology. I'll be the first to admit I don't understand the science of it, but as I hear people that do understand the science talk about it, and then just seeing some of the data that shows how the YTE technology will extend half-life, and actually understand and appreciate how that could have real medical benefits, that's pretty cool stuff, and that certainly sticks out to me.
It's really hard because we have done a lot of cool things. I will have really trouble, naming one, but I'll take a few if I may. I know it's the first thing to go is to go to the pipeline, but the blood-brain barrier. I really thought a few years ago this was just how can you get these big molecules into the brain? You know, this is absolutely fantastic to see that. I am proud of the people who really did the whole diagnostic on MEDI545 because there was a lot of firsts in there. You know, there was a lot of been done for the first time, and I just think it's the coolest things we've done. One of the coolest things we've done. So there are many things. I think one of the exciting things is I'm still coming to work every day and find more cool things happening, you know.
Well, there are many cool things that we've done in R&D. I mean, I think this organisation has just been spectacular in terms of pushing the boundaries of innovation and technology. But again, you know, some of the things we've done in R&D, this sort of 10 by 10, which is a fantastic achievement, you know, really pushing MedImmune to the front of the queue with respect to productivity. The blood-brain barrier, I have to mention, I think that's been a superb achievement where, again, we're leading. And a lot of the technologies, actually, that underpin our current portfolio, I think, have been really good achievements in R&D. The other thing more generally I would say is we've put together an R&D organisation. Of course, I've joined it rather late in the game, but we put together an R&D organisation that is incredibly innovative, incredibly enthusiastic, incredibly can-do, and that's very unusual, and we've maintained that really whilst working alongside AstraZeneca and actually getting the influence of MedImmune into AstraZeneca rather than the other way around. So I think that's a really good achievement, and as an organisation, keeping that spirit, keeping that enthusiasm and keeping that sense of innovation, that's a real achievement.
No.
We have got some in the can already.
You know, I'll let other people compromise their careers, but I'm not going to.
All right.
Not really.
No?
No, they are you know, they are difficult.
Let's see. I can be, you know, Bahija she wore my tag, name tag once for the RDL meeting. I was at Bahija for a whole day, entire day.
How did that go?
For the day. Even though our hair links doesn't look the same, but anyway, I think we share a lot of things in common.
So, came back from the strategy meeting and I am completely zen. Nothing is going to upset me. Nothing.
I could, you know, for my Jerry McMahon.
Who's this then? Well, you know, I used to be in Vietnam and I wrote a load of Star Wars episodes and I'm a bit eccentric and I had loads of people around my fantastic apartment and had loads of ribs and it was brilliant and I'm such a fun guy.
It is really exciting time now for MedImmune. You know, the people, I've been here for a year, but I have seen how much people has accomplished over the past 5 years, 10 years, to keep the innovative spirit.
I guess the thing I'd probably say is, you know, a reminder that we're all in this together. This isn't a very hierarchical organisation. We've got to all work together as a team to deliver the portfolio. And again, without wishing to sound like Bahija, delivery is the most important thing. You know, we've got to pull the pipeline through. We've got to deliver the drugs, and we can only do that if we work as a single team, really, with everyone on the same page. So that would be the one thing that I would say is important to bear in mind.
So it's been a lot of fun since I've come to MedImmune. I've learned a lot. I'm actually seeing a lot of interesting things happening, evolving. I'm actually getting to know a lot more of you directors, which is great. I'm involved with a lot more activities, and it's a great place to work. And I apologize for not being there in person at the conference since I'm in Asia for an oncology summit, but I do know that everyone will do good work, and I enjoy being at the company.
You know, a lot of us are concerned about too much process, especially as we talk about One R&D and working with our colleagues in AstraZeneca. But by and large, you know, you make your job. You are the guys who decide what you do and how you do it. Your performance is critical not only for yourselves, but probably as importantly for your colleagues and your company. This is your place, and what you make of it is what it becomes.
Mainly, no, very few of them actually are well known that actually CBGI is now in place in MedImmune, and because this is a new therapeutic area, and what I can tell everyone is that even we are early in stages, we plan to grow, and actually we plan to build a portfolio with new innovative drugs. So maybe mainly of you, will help us do that. And I thank everyone, and actually welcome everyone to work in our team to develop new drugs for diabetes, obesity, and cardiovascular, and also in some cases gastrointestinal diseases. So we are new, but we will be big in this area.
I think with all the directors together, my ask of the directors is to speak up, be candid, and let's have a conversation together about where R&D is going. There's an RDLT, we're just a group of 12 or 13 people. My view here is that all the people in the room own where R&D is going. So, to the extent we can have a good, robust and honest conversation about how we build a successful MedImmune, that's what I'd ask the directors to contribute, and I'm sure they will.
And I've said this actually in a variety of forum, and I think it's the directors as leaders of the organization that will make this happen, and we've got some really good stuff in our portfolio, and I'm gonna, that's my non-scientific speak. And I've seen portfolios. I've been part of portfolio governance in other companies, other big companies. I think we've got some really good stuff here in our late stage portfolio, our phase 2 portfolio, our phase 1 portfolio coming up, and stuff in discovery. And let's make it work, because like I said, there's some good stuff. I'm not a scientist, I acknowledge that, but I know enough when I see good things, and there's some really exciting things that we have, and it's the directors in the organization, it's us that are leading the organization that will give this a fighting chance, and so the message is, let's just win, let's just do it. That's the excitement here, and I think we've got a good chance to do something really good.
Thank you for everyone for coming. It's so important for us what you do. I always say you are the people who have the finger on the pulse. Everything we do, all the people who report to you, they follow you first. So we all of us depend on you. I just want to share with you the enthusiasm of the RDLT when I went and asked, would you be willing in the fourth quarter with everything we have to go to an offsite and have all the extended leadership, the directors and the vice presidents coming. And I didn't have to say anything more. There was 10 minutes of discussion how you are important, how this will be the priority, and how enthusiastically they said yes. So I hope that we achieve what we wanted to do, which is just get you more into what's the vision, and most importantly, tell you how important you are to the organization.